Hey guys, today I'm very excited to do this smartphone review. When I first heard the release of this phone, I was very excited about getting this phone as my next upgrade. But unfortunately, this phone wasn't available to the Malaysian market. So which phone am I referring to? This is the Zenfone 9. So the ASUS Zenfone 9 is the phone that I'm looking forward the most because I wanted to try out living with a compact phone that can last a long day but still pack a punch, good sets of camera for its size. So without further ado, let's unbox it. So inside this box we have it is the phone case. I wonder what color is it. So I prefer this kind of white hard plastic phone cover because usually for transparent phone cases they tend to be oxidized as you use them for a long time. And this does have some minimalistic design which I really like. Let's see what else there is. So we have the smartphone here. Let's look what else is in the box. And we have the 30-watt hypercharger adapter here, which is very nice. So yeah, this is what you get inside the box overall, and overall I really like it, especially with then giving the charging adapter as well as flagship phone nowadays doesn't comes included with the charging brick, and I really appreciate what ASUS did. So apparently it's in Chinese. Luckily there's English. Let's get right into it. So good news is that at least Google apparently is in here, but for now I'm just going to skip it. So now I just need to put my SIM card into this phone and use it for a week. So I will see you guys later. Alright, so I have been using it as my daily driver for almost a month now, and here is my review on the ASUS Zenfone 9. As you can tell from the size, this is a small phone, and I really like the small form factor here, as now I can fit this phone easily into my pocket and also using it one-handed. The material used for the back of the phone also acts extra great if you do choose to not use the phone case, but I still use the case just to give some protection in case of accidental drops. But that's not all. The Samsung Super AMOLED display with the 120Hz refresh rate makes this phone felt snappy to use. The AMOLED display along with the dual stereo speaker makes watching videos enjoyable. One thing that will surprise you is the presence of a headphone jack. Like, which other flagship phones nowadays also comes with a headphone jack? And personally, I still prefer using wired headphones, and I'm glad that this phone still has one. A bit on the Zen UI, which is pretty much stock Android with some features added by ASUS, and also some shortcut keys like pressing the power button twice to open a certain app, or scroll down notifications by sliding the power button. The bad part of it is ASUS will only provide 2 major Android updates and at least 2 years of security update. I mean, I can live with the Android update, but I wish it could have been longer, especially the security updates. I also have to point out this issue when I got this phone. Basically, when I tried to make calls in speaker mode, the receiver on the other end couldn't hear my voice. I thought this was my unit issue or my SIM card, since I haven't changed it for a decade at that time. But this issue was solved after doing manual installing the latest firmware. I will link down the discussion page where I got help from it if you do have this issue as well. Now let's back to the phone itself. The Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 packed inside this phone should be able to run any games that you can think of. Although do expect thermal throttle when doing heavy gaming in the long run. But that's not all about the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1. The improved chipset efficiency along with the 4300 mAh battery makes this phone last as long as you like. Like for my usage, since I didn't really use this phone that much, I could use this phone for 2.5 days and still have 20% left. And if you do want to recharge, the 30W charging adapter included in the box charges the Zenfone 9 from 20% to full within an hour. There's no wireless charging support in this phone, but that's not really a deal breaker for me. As for the cameras, you do only get 2 rear cameras, but both of them are great, especially the main camera that's supported with gimbal stabilization. Photos taken with the main camera look great most of the time, including night shots. Although some shots look a bit oversaturated and over-sharpening at times. The ultra-wide camera takes great photos as well, and the color rendition here looks more natural than the main camera. The ultra-wide camera does have autofocus as well, so you can take macro shots, just not as close as a dedicated macro camera. Although these two cameras are capable in taking great photos, but the software processing still needs some work. The selfie camera on the front also has autofocus, and they took pretty good selfies, I guess. You can do video recording up to 8K on the main camera, but I tend to do video record in either 1080p or 4K at most. The main highlight here is the gimbal stabilization on the main camera in stabilizing the footage while moving around. If you are interested in getting the Zenfone 9 here in Malaysia, the only way you can get one is from an online retailer, which I will link down the Shopee seller page where I bought mine from. When I first bought mine, it cost around 3,400 Malaysia ringgit, but now when I look back on it, the seller sold it for around 3,300 Malaysia ringgit for the same configuration that I have here. And with that concludes my review on the Zenfone 9. And the Zenfone 9 lives up to its name for being a compact flagship smartphone, and I highly recommend this phone if you want to get yourself one. I might make another video once I use this phone for maybe a few more months later down the road to see my experience has changed my view on this phone or not. But for now, that's all for this review, and take care.